Welcome back to another episode of Artist to Artist presented by Artist Republic. We are back again, once again, with Nick, Christian, and please remember, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I mean, come on. I think we deserve it by at this point. So if you're listening, just 5 stars, share with a friend, do whatever. We believe that everyone should know the knowledge that we are dropping. Speaking of knowledge that we're dropping, Christian, break us off. What are we doing today?
Today I want to talk a little bit about this little thing that we call Clubhouse. It's been getting a lot more popular. Yeah.
What is that?
It's this thing that's been getting a lot more popular lately. It's this invite-only app, only available through the App Store, so you have to have an iPhone. And it's strictly voice chat, but in groups of people. So it's a really great platform for anybody who wants to just kind of expand their knowledge on a particular topic. And the topics range from literally anything. By the way, this is not sponsored by Clubhouse. We're just really amped up about it. Nick, do you want to talk to them a little bit about our Clubhouse and what we offer?
Yes, we have a Clubhouse. It's lit. So if you're on Clubhouse, search up Indie Revolution. INDIE Revolution. We literally just talk like 3 times a week about everything independent. New music technology, finding beats, best freestyle competitions, whatever. We're literally giving away money on Clubhouse. So find it and join it. And this is your invite. This is your invite. Okay.
I do have several invites waiting to be sent to people. So if you're interested, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review on Google, and then send me an email with screenshots and I'll invite you.
Hell yeah. I have 26 invites on Clubhouse. If you give us a 5-star rating and send us an email and you're one of those 26, we will get you on Clubhouse. That's your invite.
That's your
Boom.
invite.
Mic drop. Speaking of Clubhouse, let's bring on our next guest because he was actually on one of our Clubhouse meetings this week. Matt is my man. Matt is an innovator in the field of a thing called 3D audio. Now, if you've never heard of a thing called 3D audio, listen up when Matt's talking because 3D audio is sick. He's the co-founder and CEO of the 3D audio company, Audible Reality, which is an immersive audio technology company from Montreal focusing on improving music engagement through unique AI-driven 3D audio. Matt himself is an Emmy award-winning audio engineer, as well as a singer, songwriter, and educator with a PhD in sound recording. He's literally a doctor of sound with over 20 years of experience working on the technical side of the music industry. Prior to starting Audible Reality, Matt was an early researcher at LANDR. He was also essential to the growth, design, and success of the American University's audio technology program, which was nationally ranked in the US as the #1 audio tech program in 2011. So with that, let's get into it. Give us a rundown. Obviously, I've told the people listening a little bit about you, but give us a rundown, who you are, what you do, and yeah, let's kick it off from there.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate the invite. And
anytime.
Yeah, my name's Matt. I've been a pro audio engineer for about 20 years. I made a career out of teaching students how to make music and how to do everything from electronics to build studios to work in every field of the industry, you know, whether that's film, music, podcasting, gaming, you name it. Recently, I just finished my PhD out of McGill in Montreal, which is the only place that has a sound recording PhD. And the pedigree there is pretty incredible. Guys like George Massenberg, who's my advisor. You mentioned his name in the audio industry. Everybody knows a record he did. Earth, Wind, and Fire, September, you know, that kind of stuff. Like super high, exactly, super hi-fi stuff. Great guy. Another advisor of mine is Richard King, who produces a hell of a lot of Grammy-winning classical tracks and albums, and has worked with Yo-Yo Ma and tons of legends. So I was just, I was brought into greatness, I would say, up there. And the years that I had been working as a student, audio engineer, all the way up to actually teaching students for about 12, 13 years by the time I got to McGill, I was really interested in why we engage with sound? Just to put it very cleanly, like, what is it about sound that is so, interesting to us? Every day we listen to sound, like it's just a part of us. But what is it about a song that grabs my attention? Is it really the vocal? Is it really the lyric? Or is it deeper than that? Is it the decision of the way they produce that? Like, why did somebody produce it that way in the first case? What created the art? And for me, that's the deeper level that I'm after. Is I want to understand why technology is used to create what we create, and also to flip the script and look at the listener for the first time in history and say, so what does the listener think of that? Like, what are they engaging with? How can we learn from the way they engage with sound to maybe predict better ways for that to happen in the future? Whether that's like longer listening time, discovering new tracks, maybe even becoming producers themselves. So what we do at Audible Reality, I started this during my PhD, studying 3D audio, having my mind blown with sound flying over my head and behind me. And we can get more into 3D in a little bit. But the point I'm making here is it was a transformative experience over being a pro for a good 18, 20 years at that point. So I'm in this place, I'm having these new experiences, and I'm thinking, I have to bring this to the public. I got to get it to consumers. But it's incredibly, incredibly difficult. But when you get it right, it's so good. And how do I do that? So long story short, Audible Reality was formed as a way to try to simplify that so that everybody could experience 3D. And as I was doing that, I realized, hey, there's value here in how people engage with sound. And 3D is the master way to do that. Maybe there's a way I can learn from the creators and the fans listening with my dream of trying to understand, why do people engage? And so that's what we do today. We have a software as a service for artists that can use our tool to create 3D audio, but then they can also do an interactive vibe, which is like a real-time process or a sound experience that they create, essentially their signature sound. And then fans can listen to that on any streaming service and experience the same thing the artist experienced. And then we track all that. We can figure out, like, well, did the fan like that? Did they not like it? Which song did they listen on? Which device? And at the end of the day, we have all this data, currently over 3 million different data points on how people listen and whether or not that's a good engagement process that just happened, or whether it could be improved.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
And I absolutely love it. I also think it's sick that you have a doctorate in sound. Like, you're
That's
a
pretty
doctor.
bad. I'm the sound doctor.
that's gotta be up there, probably one of the top doctorates. I was actually genuinely trying to find a school that had entrepreneurship as a doctorate degree. I was like, that'd be sick, like a doctor in entrepreneurship, especially because it's like the classic thing that you don't need a degree for. I'm like, we're gonna do it. But yeah, no, that's awesome. That's sick. So the first thing is, before we kind of dive into, for people listening who are hearing this in mono or stereo or all the basic sound stuff, what is 3D sound?
So 3D means simply 3 dimensions, right? There's a lot of buzzwords out now of people trying to explain it in different marketing tools to make it simpler, and it's kind of fuzzing up the waters, or messing up the waters a little bit. So 3D, just remember, we've never had height perception in stereo. Stereo is left and right, and you have like the width of the stereo speakers, and you have maybe some depth by the volume. Think about a reverb and the echoes it provides. So there's me talking, and then there's like this trail, right? So that effect could give you some kind of feeling of depth, but there's never been a height. And so 3D audio immediately brings that. Stuff can now fly over your head. And it doesn't have to be all gimmicky. You can actually use that to expand the sound experience. And every day with your 2 ears, that's how you experience sound in the reality of the world, right? So 3D just means that this is hyper real. You're going to actually bring music into a place that feels as if you're at a live studio, a live, event, just walking down the street, or it's just using the benefit of these different cues that expand the sound outside of your head to make your stereo track sound even better, even bigger. So what we specifically do with 3D is a lot of things. We have binaural processes. That's the ability to understand what your 2 ears are thinking about sound. Well, what your brain thinks from the 2 ears. There's spatial sound, like what's the reflections that happen in a room, the nice reverb sound that you have from one space to another. And then there's also the expansion of sound. So what do I do with my voice? Like right now, if this podcast is available on Spotify, you know, open up Audible Reality, flip through some vibes, and boom, you can experience what mono going to 3D sounds like. It's mind bending. So those are the things that we focus on. It's just how do you make a difference with music, even sound from one state to another. And in this case, we're talking from mono to 3D or stereo to 3D.
That is a good plug there. Definitely download Audible Reality and definitely continue listening to this podcast through that. My favorite vibe so far is wide.
Yeah,
Putting that on studio speakers with wide, just like it actually feels like you're at a concert. And I think my favorite thing about Audible Reality is when you can just flip the switch. Like it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. And you can hear such the difference between the sound. You're just like, holy shit. Like you like think about it. It's like, it's almost like listening between that is almost the extent of like wearing polarized sunglasses and non-polarized. And like you like see this new world, you're like, wow, I can like see the ocean better. Like, wow, like everything looks crisper and like stuff like that. You're just like, damn, like what have I been missing this whole time?
Yeah.
And that's true. Like we as humans don't really, a lot of the sound devices really do not give us the full extension of that stuff, which is why we love going to concerts.
Right.
So yeah, so going off of that, I'll hit you with one question. I'll pass over to Christian. We have obviously plugging our Clubhouse again. We had you on Clubhouse this past week, and there was a question that we dived into that I really liked that I want to bring back up here, which is how do you see the future of music as 3D audio starts to get embraced across the industry more? How do you see that kind of changing how the music industry is going to, produce, record, and really, build a better virtual experience through sound?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason that surround sound didn't take off is mainly because it's just not scalable. Like you either have the money to be an audiophile, or maybe you don't have the money, but you do like use your credit card to buy all that good stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're either into it or you're not. And surround sound is very much, you need to be into it. You can't go and buy the stuff at Best Buy and rig up your house because you don't have the right space for it. And you don't want to put the speakers everywhere and you don't want the cable. So surround sound just didn't work. Right. And 3D has the ability to take us there. And 3D, by the way, it's just a three-dimensional approach to sound. So it could represent virtual 5.1 surround, right? It's not about whether this is surround sound or not. It's about what do you do with three-dimensional processing. And I think that's where we're going here. It's like, what do you do? I don't know. I know what we're doing. We're using it to make drastically different sound experiences that the user controls and that the artist creates. And that has been incredible so far. Like people choose to hear things differently simply because you're given the choice. And are you doing that because of 3D audio? Someone else might use this as a process to, make films more alive, or actually, make a podcast like this feel bigger and better and easier to hear each one of us talk, right? If we spatialized all of our voices in different locations, it could be much easier, much more relaxing to listen to. So there's that kind of concept. But then I think there's one step further than that, which is who is going to be the creator of tomorrow? Like that, that TikTok artist or that YouTube star, whatever. They don't have the tools to go into my studio and sit down and make a master recording like I would do with any artist. But they don't need that. Like they can just download some tracks and, off a splice and put them together in a free DAW. Maybe they don't even need a DAW. Maybe they have an app on their phone. Like it's so easy to make music now. And so with that ease to make music, there's got to be platforms like Republic and like Audible Reality that make it better from that state of, okay, I just need it now, to where I need it now, I made it, but I want it to sound pro. I want it to sound better than me. And that's where I see the future of 3D audio going, is because 3D makes such a difference in the experience, is that anybody can produce and feel a difference. And I think what we're going to get out of that is we're going to start seeing people who are producing in 3D and actually becoming like real producers out of that. They're like getting their signature sound because they use the app or because they use the tool, and they're working with artists who are like, you know what, I don't have the means to actually record something, but I downloaded this track, and can you make it sound better? Like, I feel like there's a new world of creation just about to happen, and we don't even know yet. Like, that's the exciting part.
Yeah, I like that. And so actually, Christian, I'm going to take one more. I'm going to show one more question because I just thought about this. Christian, me and you are probably going to be bumping a fuck ton of Fortnite this weekend because we haven't in a while. Now, that goes into my non-music question, but audio. Matt, how can I get 3D audio in a video game?
Well,
When does that become a thing?
It is the thing. We actually, so I founded the company Montreal, where McGill is, and Montreal is a crazy, crazy good game studio town. Like, that's actually how I did my first game audio gig. I didn't even know anything about programmatic audio and all the stuff that you have to know when you get into that. But Montreal, rather, is the place to do it. And so there's been companies with 3D audio for gaming leading the way for a long time. It's out there. It's just about how do you engage with it, and that's where it fails. Is that it doesn't always work on every device, and it's not something that you really know about. So you go about, like, how do I get this? I got to go buy these special headphones that are made for Fortnite, right? Or marketed for Unity and so forth. So it's getting there, but I think where it really takes off is when we stop buying into that, because I'm here to tell you that doesn't need to happen. You can use technology like ours to build into games, build into music, and use it everywhere. And, that's the future. There's a few other companies that are taking that approach. And I think that's where it needs to be. The current model in pro audio, and even in, just in the industry, is I need to use this format because this person told me to do that, right? And I'm not going to name any names, but we all know there's these behemoths out there that own the audio industry, and we have to use their devices and their things to make it happen. And that's BS. Like, you just need a good product and you need to run with it and build with it. So our belief is that you can use our software to build whatever you want. We actually license it out. So if you wanted to build a game, you wanted to build an app, you can use our tech, put it in your program, and then boom, you have the same experience, and all your customers have that without having all the necessary devices.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Because like I would love to be like, oh shit, that person's over me. And like really be like fully immersed in it instead of just being like, where is he?
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, I have some demos where we do like airplanes flying over you. And I was in one of my first investment rounds. I'm sitting there showing off the demo, and there was a bunch of investors in one room, and the one guy had his headphones in and he's listening to the demo. And he takes his headphones off. He's like, holy shit, I'm invested. He's like, these guys are crazy. An airplane just flew over my head and I thought it was there. Like, this is nuts, And so that's what we want to inspire. Like, we want to be able to let other companies take that technology and build new things. It's not just all about our goal of, music and that. We want to learn from music, learn from those experiences, and then be able to say, hey, use our tech to build the next best thing.
That's crazy. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
And, Nick, I think a couple months ago said, hey, man, check out this app. And so I downloaded it and I checked it out and I loved it. And, we get into this conversation about immersion into multimedia. And I am classically trained in filmmaking and film production and cinema. And so from my studies, a lot of the things that they always harped on from the beginning of filmmaking as a whole, all the way through today, is this constant push for immersion into the media. And throughout time, you've seen so many different ways to immerse the audience into whatever this is, whether that be a spectacle film from the 80s, whether that be video games, and then VR as it's grown. And these things just keep stacking up over time, until we're eventually going to get to a Black Mirror-esque world where we are just fully immersed to the point where we just believe that we are in whatever this world is. And, I think Audible Reality is just another step on that ladder to that end goal. Yeah, I think that's really cool. But I want to take this concept and I would like to kind of apply that back into the music industry as a whole and kind of get your thoughts on where this applies for the artist as an individual. You know, like what can an artist do with Audible Reality and this technology to kind of push their brand, push the boundary of what they're making?
Yeah. So same exact concept, just think differently. Instead of devices and software applications using our tech to build something new, think about an artist using our tech to build new music experiences. And that's really where it comes in. So a vibe, we didn't really explain this fully, but a vibe is a preset 3D audio process. Like when I go and mix in my studio, I've got my sound, I've got my chain of processors that make my signature sound. It's essentially what we do as Audible Reality. Is like you put the plugin into your DAW, you make your track, and you save the settings, and so now you have your signature process. And what's really awesome about that is that's the, you know, think about all the people who love music, even the people who are creating music but don't really have the background in it. They're never in a studio with, you know, big name artists and with all the gear. Like they're sitting in their laptop with a couple speakers on their desk, right? So to give people that access, that they can get inside the world of other producers, even get inside the world of better technology at a push of a button, that's going to open up so many doors, because now I'm mixing my record. I put it out. I think, man, that sounds great, but I wish I could have done it a little differently. Or maybe I just want to give my fans like exclusive. You know, I want to let them have 4 different versions based on a genre or based on like a release date that I put out. I can do that now, and I can easily draw that up in my Audible Reality Pro plugin as if I'm in the studio with big time producers sitting there and, you know, like, hey, let me get your vibe. No, let me get your vibe, right? Now you got the vibe. You are making the vibe, and the vibe goes into the app, and it's like an Instagram filter. You flip it and boom, you got the sound. So that's going to help an artist because first, it's easy. It's super cheap to do it. And out of that, you actually get data. You get an analysis of what people listen to and which version or which vibe they like the most. And it sometimes isn't even on your own music. It could just be your sound on some other track that people are listening to. And from that, you could drive like, oh, I need to make some hip hop productions, you know, like I'm not doing great over here in country land. So I think that's the thing here for artists is start thinking about promoting your music differently, not just putting it out as we always do, but think of other avenues that might grab people's attention. And this is certainly one of those things that can help you do that.
I like what you said about Instagram. That's the new tagline. It's literally the Instagram filter of Spotify.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's literally what it is.
It is.
Like,
it's a great way.
the vibes, and it's awesome. Well, yeah. So with that, Christian, I'm going to dive in because we're getting to the point where I think it's about to be lightning. We're going to hit you with our lightning round. Christian, I'm still going to be upset if I watch our podcast on YouTube and there is not lightning coming out of my hands. So no, fix that in post.
Got you.
So yeah, we're gonna hit you with our lightning round, which is basically a bunch of random questions that we find online, and you have to pretty much answer it with whatever the first thought is that comes to your head. First one: what movie would be greatly improved if it was made into a musical?
Field of Dreams. I don't know why I said that.
Solid answer. First thing that popped in your head, it works.
Yes, first thing that pops in your head. I can get behind that. I can get behind Field of Dreams musical.
Yeah.
Hey, Christian, what do we got?
That's a terrible one.
So would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Talk to animals.
Okay.
Okay, well, this one perfectly goes off to that, because if animals could talk, which one would be the rudest?
The aardvark.
The aardvark. I don't think I've heard of an aardvark in so long. Why is that in your head? Why is that in your head?
I don't know. Why is Field of Dreams in my head? These things just happen.
Classic. I could see the woolly mammoth being like a homie.
Yeah.
Just a complete homie.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Yeah.
He's like
definitely smokes weed.
Yeah.
You ever seen Zootopia? You know, like when they go to the like the Zen garden or whatever. Like that's what the woolly mammoth is like.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay.
Oh man. Okay. So bad. I've got like a huge list here of random questions. Okay. What's the fastest speed you've ever driven in a car? It's not incriminating.
No, I was on the Autobahn once in a like tiny little Peugeot that had a speed governor, you know, the thing that stops you from going too fast.
Yeah.
I got 180 kilometers per hour. I don't know how many miles that is, but it felt like 200 miles an hour. I know it's not. It's probably like
It sounds fast either way.
So one of our listeners is going to Google that and be like, that was 50 miles an hour.
Everyone's passing you on the highway.
Super upset.
Yeah.
Matt, if you had to cut one macro out of your diet for the rest of your life, what would it be? Carbs, fats, or proteins?
Man, that's a tough one. I love them all. I guess carbs, because I could like go with some made up sugar, right?
Yeah.
Like pseudo sugar. Yeah.
Some pseudo sugar, but then you
Yeah.
can't have bread, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, the sugar out of carbs is like, you know, that's another thing. Maybe I'm not talking about the same thing here.
Maybe. Perhaps.
I don't know.
Like everything has everything in it.
Yeah.
I feel like most things have protein, carbs, and sugars in it.
It's tough to go keto, kids. It's tough to go keto.
Yeah. That's interesting. All right. Well, that does look closer. Lightning round. Getting back into this, Christian, I'm going to let you kick off with the first question of the second half.
Yeah. So you kind of briefly mentioned it. I kind of want to give you a little opportunity to plug some more, but tell us about this Audible Pro. And then if you can, this streaming service partnership.
Sure. So for Audible Reality Pro, that is the service that we offer to artists. It starts at $8 a month. There's different plans in the tier where you can, you know, not only get the Pro plugin that I just described that you can put into your DAW and make all kinds of great music with it, but you can make your vibes. So if I make a vibe, then I can go ahead and load that into my artist account. So we have a dashboard where you upload that. You can, you know, put a new image on it. You can name it. You can price it. Once you've done all that, it's now a little like active nugget or a little filter that goes into the app. So anybody in our app can listen to Spotify Premium right now. We have a new service coming out like so soon. We're just in final checklist certification of it, but it's a big one. And we have more in the pipeline that we want to integrate. So as a user, you can get in, listen to your favorite music, apply the vibe that the artist creates. And so the artist, the way they get that to you is they just use like a short link, right? It's just the thing that you can share on social media. Like, here's my vibe. You pair it with a song, you click it, and it pulls you right into the app, right on that song and that vibe. If you want to monetize it, you know, that's where people can buy it as an in-app purchase. We're looking at new ways to sell that and be exclusive about that. So anyway, that's the main service. And it also comes with a team of like and current music industry pros. So we do a lot of events. We have some pretty heavy hitter A&R people, marketing, that have been around the block for years and years. So our whole goal is to try to help you as an artist grow. And we want to help you market in different opportunities. And that's what this is all about, is use Audible Reality as a new way to reach fans. And then we can help you to try to, you know, do events or whatever to kind of put your name out. And then, you know, past that, you can use it to make music, right? So you can always make your own music with the plugin. You can put it out into any streaming service. So there's a lot of value just in Audible Reality Pro itself. On the app, what's happening is we actually have an AI embedded that's understanding how you're listening. So as you engage with the music and these vibes, you're actually training your own personal audio assistant. And it decides, like, hey, this is a new track you haven't heard before. Check out this vibe with it, right? And the whole end goal there is that we want to be able to understand what every single user would prefer based on whatever situation they're in on whatever device. And from that, all that data helps us grow our software licensing side of things as well. Like, that's how we are able to work with other devices, help them make better products. And so it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, we're even doing things where we're partnering headphones with artists that sign up, because the artists have interest in the headphone is looking for an artist to market, and there's great potential all around.
So it seems like you're doing more than just, the base level. What I understood of the app before getting into this meeting is, you're really bringing a lot of different parties together to, I guess, overall create a better, for lack of a better term, like a better world for people in a variety of industries. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that comes inherently from me as like a, educator. I just love sharing what I know, and I love getting people involved in similar projects. And this is by all means not a selfish project. Like, I started this because I was making music with people. I realized I had a problem, and 3D audio was the thing to fix it. And now I just think it's so much better for me to inspire other people to build off of it and learn from it than it is to just say, like, no, this is my thing and you got to buy it, and that's it. It doesn't really go anywhere in today's world.
I mean, it's like, well, there's two pieces of that. Is one, I mean, I fully believe that is, when you chase value, which comes from not being selfish, that's where you will go so much farther. And the other piece of that comes back into, like, some of the greatest things in the world are open source, because people are just like, look, there's no point in keeping it to one person. Just let people use it, because it's going to benefit the greater good of everybody. And yeah, so that's definitely awesome. With that, I would like to kind of bounce to, unless Christian, you have any other questions, I would like to kind of bounce to the big last question to get your advice on it, which is, for any artist listening, what is your, number one piece of advice for any artist, engineer, anybody trying to get into the music industry or early on in their careers? What's your piece of advice for them?
Network. And I didn't say this at the top of the talk, but I'm a former musician. I was a lead singer and songwriter and put out my own records and toured and all that kind of stuff. And I was terrible at promoting myself. I had this thing that I just thought, nah, that's not how anybody gets there. It's just their music. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get heard one day, but I'm totally wrong. And I realized that when I got into business, like, business is all about network, and music is business. So if you want to get anywhere, just start figuring out who's better than you, or who's smarter than you, or who you want to be, and get access to them, and then those doors open more doors. And I think that the greatest thing about networking is not like you're just going out randomly cold, sending cold emails and so forth. You're connecting with people on similar problems and similar interests. And from that, things grow, because then you start to create your culture, right? So that's the number one thing, like just having the tools, having the ability to get out there in front of people and get feedback. Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, our whole relationship here between Artist Republic and Audible Reality literally started from a LinkedIn message. And that's what, people need to learn. Like, I am the biggest no shame. I will message anybody because it pays off. It does. It pays off tenfold. Just message anybody, make a good little caption, have a great opening, be yourself. And it usually 9 times out of 10 works. Well, with that, Matt, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. We are closing out this one. So before you leave, everybody listening, pause for a second, take a moment, leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. If you did last week, Christian will invite you to this virtual party. But if you do this week, we have 26 Clubhouse invites that have nobody's name on them. So if you do this week and you actually literally send us a screenshot of your review, we will give you one of those invites. So you can get on to literally this super exclusive club of invite-only apps. So with that being said, thank you all. We'll see you next week.